Hello everyone, this is Patty with Vintage Shabby Goodness, and I am bringing to you a folio that I did for a sweet lady, Oohlala Vintage Treasures, and her name is Doreen, and that is the name of her Etsy shop, is Oohlala Vintage Treasures. I have been working on some of her kits. They're just beautiful. I love working with them, and on this particular one, this folio, I have used like 6 or 7 different kits to build this. And I did that to show you how versatile her digitals are. You can use these digitals with one another. They just blend in perfectly. So I may not know which digital each page is. I'm learning, but I'm pretty new at this. But I will have a list of every digital that I used. So to get into it, I'll show you this bow that I made and put it on the spine here. Just made a nice big bow. And I bullpenned a vintage cameo, vintage pearls, and then a piece of an applique. And then I will remove this closure since the book got too big on me and ended up needing a closure. Didn't think I was going to need one, but that's okay. They're pretty. And I'll get it unwrapped here. There we go. But on the spine, I added this ruffle that I had made all down the spine. It's sorry to get it way up in the camera. And then added this real pretty pink trim. So, okay. Now, let me get this. Oops. Put this on over on this side here. Okay. Now this lady here that I have, she is from the digital kit, Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance. I put her on a piece of corrugated cardboard, and then I just painted the edges white and added some fabric, and I just slow stitched the fabric down and put some trim along the edge and made just a little cluster down here at the bottom. And on the page itself, this is also Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance. And I just added a part of a applique here. I added some trim along the edge here. And then I added a pocket from the kit. It's got those really cool boots. I love them. I would wear them. And I'd probably break my neck. But here is, I added a little dangle, and it's got a little pocket watch here that I put some gold paint around the edges and just added a couple of vintage trims to it. And then added some lace at the bottom and a little cologne bottle here. And then inside here, this is a ribbon that I had in my stash. This is an ink pen out of Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance with a rose on it. And it's also trimmed in gold paint with this tag in here with an applique. Then you can journal on the back of that there. Then over here on this side, I have an envelope that I made a ruffle out of pattern paper and another ruffle out of some fabric that I have and made a bow out of some sari silk. And then I added this applique that's off of a wedding dress, an old vintage wedding dress. And there's some trim back behind that there, this flowered trim here. And then this lace right here to cover the envelope is from Crafty Me Shop. You flip that out, and I've got a full applique here, along with a flower and a little heart doily down there in the corner. Not sure if you can see that or not, but there we go. Then inside there is a tag. That beautiful, I just think that's so pretty. Ruffles and roses. Then here is some pink trim here, along with Crafty Me Shop's trim along here, just to add just a little bit of color. You journal on the back. And then over here, I have a couple of ladies here that are acting as doors or a window or whatever you want to call it, that you can open them up. And then there's a window here that I added some gold stickers to. And this paper here is from French Bliss. And I added some stickles to the crown to give it some bling, some sparkle. And I added some corner protectors to give this flip some weight. And you can flip that open. And then there's this cute little girl on the inside. This digital being Divine Moments. And the frame is out of my stash, but isn't she a doll? And then I added this trim at the top, kind of ruffled it, along with some bling. And we'll fold that all together, open it up here. Oops, there we go. And I have a lace here from Crafty Me Shop that is covering this perfume bottle. And I just think it's beautiful. And I added some Wink of Stella on this rose. I think you can kind of see it glisten and sparkles and all that kind of stuff. It's beautiful. And then here I added an applique, and then that's all I did with that page. I didn't really think it needed anything else. Then over here I made a dual pocket to hold a couple of tags. So I added some trim down here, some lace, and then some trim. And a tag that I did paint in gold around the edges. And then I just added a piece of sari silk with a pearl up here in this eyelet. And then you can journal on the back. Then this next pocket, it has a matchbook. I put a piece of lace here and a piece of vintage trim underneath the lace. Then you can open this up, pull this part down, and it unfolds to where you have all of this as journaling, all on the back side of journaling. There's a little piece of parchment paper that you can write on, and you could also journal on the back of this cover here. For no bigger than what it is, there's a lot of journaling space, isn't there? And then it's just all folds up into a matchbook. Slides right in there, and then on here I just added an applique, and I made a dangle out of the beads I have and added a charm. It's a crown to the bottom of it. And I only glued this down on 3 sides because I wanted to keep this open so I could add another tag. And this is out of pink silk alater, I believe. And then you can tag on the back. Or you can journal on the back. I'm sorry. I'm getting tired. And then I added this pink bow there. And let's see. And opens that back up. And I got some trim here from Craft and Me Shop in like 3 different places. And then this digital is Lady Elegance, Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance. And then I have this tag inside. I left that whole page a pocket. So if you have something big, you can fit it in there. There's plenty of room. So, but for now, I just have these 2 tags in there that you can journal on the back where I have stenciled. I believe this is out of Pink Parfait Cafe kit. This is the postcard. And then over here, I made a belly band. I made this ruffle, and then I added this pearl flowers down the middle. And then I tucked a card underneath. Isn't that neat? I've just been having fun playing with it. But I made a bow out of this sari silk, added a pearl, part of an applique here, and then some trim along the edge. And then you can journal on the back of this card, this shaker card. And then this paper here is Ruffles and Roses, along with the back of this paper here. And I'm not sure, I can't see the whole thing, but that might be Divine Moments, but I'm not sure. And then we flip this out, and this is a flip up. I've got it hooked down with a hidden paper clip. Set that to the side. And then here's this paper here. I think this might be Ruffles and Roses. I'm not sure. But on this envelope, this is an altered envelope, and this file is French Bliss. So I coffee stained the envelope, and I heat embossed some French there. I stamped vintage there, and this is dry embossed here. A vintage bow I made. Then here's just a cluster I put together. And here's some vintage trims. Here at the bottom, there's 2 layers. And then this heart, French Bliss kit with some trim and a flower. And I added a bow. And then I added some trim along the back to kind of help dress that up a little bit. But then I just made a dangle out of it. And underneath this is a couple of doilies and an applique. I've got the applique glued down to a doily there. Then here is some trim up here. Then inside is a tag that I made that we're still working with the French Bliss digital. I put the word embrace. I do embrace all of her kits. I love them, and I enjoy working with them. And then here's a vase with some roses and some bling back behind it to make some sparkles. Then here's a crown where I've added a rhinestone and 4 pearls. I added a metal corner protector down here, some vintage trim here, a piece of a doily over here with a cluster I made. And there, look at the little cherub there. Isn't that cute? With some more embossed paper there. And this is kind of a little tuck place. You could tuck something in there. Let's see. Oh, see? Fits right in there. I'll just leave that in there. Well, and these are some more cologne bottles that is out of the file Biscotti Silk Couture. There you go. And let's see, on the back, I did add some tatting, and I stamped in some French, which you should still be able to journal just fine over it. I did coffee dye this. So, and then I put some vintage music sheet inside the envelope. So on the back side of this, I added this lace with a piece of lace rose. I'm not real sure, but I do think this might have came off a lady's petticoat. I'm just guessing though, but it kind of looks like it. And then I did some stamping here. Okay, I'm just going to lay this off to the side and flip this up. Another gorgeous perfume bottle. Just left the page to do its own thing. Didn't think it needed anything. And then here is the altered envelope that was paper clipped to this page. So they both went on there like so. So, okay. Then the altered envelope here is, this lady is from Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance. And I've got some lace and another piece of digital to kind of make a stack and to give it dimension. And some, a piece of old doily here and a piece of applique here. Then I added this perfume bottle in the window. And this perfume bottle is out of Biscotti Silk Couture. And then I made this flower. And it's just a bunch of layers of satin and vintage lace and a piece of applique, some pearls, and a beautiful little heart with the pink stones in it. It's so pretty. And then I had a piece of ruffle left that I had made to put on the spine, and I just took it and glued it down and then glued the flower down on top of it. So, and then on the back of this envelope, I have a applique here that was from my stash, half of a doily from my stash, flower, and some lace, vintage lace that I put down back behind there to kind of cover up the envelope a little bit. And then some vintage, a piece of vintage material. And then I stamped the word vintage on this piece of cotton here. Then here is the other half of this doily here, along with a flower and a piece of crystal. And it's all attached to this digital. This is Shabby Vintage Suitcases is the name of that digital. And then I don't have anything inside of this one. It's empty. So you can put whatever you want. And I'll just set that off to the side too. And then here is a CD cover that I just added this lady in. I think she's very beautiful. And she is in the kit Shabby Vintage Suitcases. And I added this little satin rose. And then an applique that from my stash. And then this background here is from the Biscotti Silk Lady Elegance kit. And then I fussy cut out these suitcases and roses, which is out of the Shabby Vintage Suitcase kit. And I just glued part of it down to kind of make a tuck. And I just tuck these two tags in there. Here's some more of those cool boots. Beautiful coffee mug or coffee cup. And then up here I did add some trim up here. And then I added some trim down here that has pearl dangles on it. Hope you can see it. And then in the spine area here, I added some rosettes. And then over here, I added some it's like tulle with puffy, little puffy balls on it. Added that down the spine along with this ribbon with gold trim in it. Just trying to keep the spine sturdy. Because flipping it open and closed, it kind of weakens the spine down a little bit. And then on this page, this came off of an old tablecloth. The tablecloth wasn't any good anymore. This is very old. So I saved the lacy pieces, and I just cut the center of this out and put this lady underneath it. And she is also out of the Shabby vintage suitcases. And I just framed this around her and added this trim around that. Then added these sequin flowers along with some pearls and this applique. And then I think this is probably my favorite cologne bottle. You can probably tell I really decorated this one up. I did do the Wink of Stella on the rose. I did this little flower with the little pearl dangle. Then I added these flowers with some lace underneath it. And then the stack of books, which this is all from the Scotty Silk Lady Elegance. Then I made this ruffle here and added it up there and tied these two together and made a bow. And I did make 2 pockets out of this one. So I have a tag here, which this is the Ruffles and Roses. Added this at the top, and a piece of trim back behind that. And then I added this pearl dangle with some rhinestones on it. And then I stenciled the back and I sewed around the edges. And then on this tag, I sewed around it. And I do believe this is from Divine Moments. And I added a couple little flowers along with this trim here. It's some really dainty pink trim with this pink pearl. And then I stenciled on the back of that, and then you could jot down your notes there. Then this is the last page. Oh. And I just layered it up with vintage ruffles, lace, pearls. This is some of that I from the doily that I put on there for texture. Some roses I cut out of one of the other digitals. And I made a pocket out of this tracing paper. I just think it's so cool. I like it. And then I made this tag-like thing here. Just a minute, I need to get me a drink. Oh, thank you. I needed that. That I believe this is Ruffles and Roses. But I made this heart as the closure, and you can turn the heart, open these up, and then you have a coffee filter inside. I've heard it all now, but Doreen with Oohlala Vintage Treasures, she showed us how to make this. I don't know where she had seen it somewhere, I'm sure, and taught us how to make it. I'm not very good at it yet. This is my first one. But out of this little thing here, it made 4 pockets. So I've got 4 tags in here, along with some stickles. Oh, and I tied a little ribbon around that one. So pretty cool, huh? You can fit 4 tags in this little pocket here. And then I made this back like a tag. And then some vintage lace I made into a bow. And you put that heart back over that there. And you tuck it right back into this pocket. Okay, last but not least is the very back. This is an applique that I put on here. I was making this into a little tuck, but it needed a little bit of help because my pocket here ended up being a little thicker than what this is. But I made this satin ruffle, and I got this pink flower. I believe that was from Crafty Me Shop, along with this applique here. But I folded the file folder over and then added these flowers. They're just stickers that I added on there. But I had to paper clip this onto here because it wouldn't stay, because it's kind of heavy. And I knew it'd get caught on that lace, that doily on the other page. But I just kind of tied a couple of fibers together and called it good. And then I added this bow and put some, that's antique brass, I believe, or antique gold trim around the flower. Then the sticker there, vintage trim here. And then I made this flower. It came in with one of the digitals. And so I just cut it out and kind of folded it all up and put lace in between each layer. Put it on top of a doily, and voila. Put a little bling in the middle. Then I added this trim down here on both sides, because I like my trim thick. And then here's this little tiny bulldog clip to hold this shut. You can open this up and pull out the tag inside here. So on this tag, I fussy cut out a hat box and added these 2 little journaling spots here, right into that back of that hat box. And then added some lace up here with some trim and some gold chain. And then, of course, this tulle down here. Excuse me. My goodness. And then I stenciled on the back of here, but you could still journal on the back also. But there she is, all done. And I hope you like her. And I do have her up for sale, or I will be putting her up for sale. And so I will put that information also down in the description area. So if you're interested in purchasing this, you can contact me. I'll give you my email address. And otherwise, that's all I have. So I'll get this little lady put all back together and everything in its right place and make sure everything is still holding up. And then I'll see you again next time. So thank you for stopping in. I enjoy having you. You all have a good evening. Bye.